Hey guys, welcome back to Deani Speaks. I know it's been a while. Consistency and me are trying to become one. Bear with me. But I want to come back and just quickly dive into gaslighting. For starters, this book, I've had this book now maybe for 2 years or more. It's by Dr. Stephanie Moulton Sarkis, and I highly recommend it, okay? Amazing, amazing, amazing read. Why I find gaslighting to be so important is because it's becoming a very prevalent theme within the workplace, within our romantic partnerships, within our friendships, and I think it can explain a lot of what we've experienced without having to quickly go to label everyone as a narcissist, because there is a difference. Now, the goal of a gaslighter is control. They want power, and they do so by altering your perception of reality. So they usually are going to make you question if what you have perceived of an incident with them was really what occurred. Try to get you to take blame for most of the occurrences in their life or within your relationship. This feels like a mind warp. It feels like someone is literally screwing with your mind, and that's what they're doing. I have to be blunt. Like, it is the worst feeling. You begin to really feel crazy. You're like, I know you did this. I know that you said these things. And usually when you call a gaslighter out, they're gonna be like, what? I didn't say that. What are you talking about? That never happened. I never said that. I never said that. I think that is like the #1 phrase of a gaslighter. I never said that. Like, what? It's so frustrating. So, I have dated gaslighters. I've had a boss as a gaslighter. That was not cool. And in truth, and even in reading this book, I've probably gaslighted a couple people. Like, ooh, girl, watch that manipulation. So it's really, really good to be able to identify when you are riding that line of persuasion and falling over the cliff into manipulation. Again, the root is power. It is control. All apart about looking within yourself and maybe why it's so easy to give up the control in your life, and then also identifying when someone is trying to take power and control over your life. So let's dive right in, guys. I have a list here. Have a list. Okay, #1. Gaslighters are the masters of the manipulated apology. It's like a fake apology. When someone says, I'm sorry that you felt, or I'm sorry that you were upset by, instead of just taking accountability for what it is that they did and not the emotional effect it had on you. They are just not one to take accountability because they don't really see anything that they did as wrong. They can acknowledge that you feeling bad is, a bad thing, but they don't see it as I really did something that was negative. So they're also going to kind of revert it and, you're kind of overly sensitive. You're easily offended. They can't take full accountability in that what they did is wrong. So their manipulated apology will never include that they actually were wrong. Like, it just has to be I'm wrong. Like, don't go into me or anything about me, just you were wrong. Yeah. #2, they use triangulation and splitting to pit people against one another. This one is really important because it talks about the methodology of the gaslighter. You see this a lot in manipulated communication between, say, divorced parents, right? You might find that one parent sends communication to the other through the child, which is the absolute most irresponsible thing you can do. Or in examples like in the book, like with in-laws, you may have a mother-in-law who sends communication through her son to his wife. Instead of just coming out and saying what their problem is or what the issue is. It's really a way to cause friction and distance between the two that ultimately end up communicating. So in that first example, cause friction and distance between the child and the other parent. When I had a boss as a gaslighter, that caused so much friction in the workplace because they were constantly trying to pit each coworker against one another as if we were in some way competing for the same roles. And it was just infantile. It was complete nonsense. And eventually we were all able to identify, hey, we aren't each other's issue. Our boss is the common denominator here. So identifying this, again, is a way where you won't fall victim to it. But number 3, they maintain a circle that doesn't challenge them. And the moment that you do, you're on the outs. They're done with you. Gaslighters don't like, again, for anyone to tell them that they are wrong or what they're doing is wrong, because they need to have control over their life. So they also need control over other people's perception of them. So you can't tell them that, hey, that was kind of nasty. What you just said was really mean. Hey, how you handled this was inappropriate. For one, they're gonna look at you as, how can you possibly have the audacity to even come to me with correction? Because gaslighters deem themselves as above. So they don't really see anyone as a peer internally. Now, they might create an environment that seems that way, but the moment that you cross that line into what a peer would do, like correct them, they're going to put you back into your place. Like, hey, you don't do that. Now you're on the outs. So you'll usually see that they have a really close group of people. Family is like the number one enabling group of a gaslighter. So it usually is going to be their family or just people that they choose, their friends that are very much okay with not addressing their behavior because they don't want to deal with the backlash of a gaslighter. Which puts me into point number 4. Just mush them all together. Family of gaslighters defend them and try to avoid confronting them. If you are dating a gaslighter, just be prepared. Be prepared that their family may even talk to you about them, but everyone knows to stop talking once the gaslighter enters the room, because the family, they may want you to be the one to eventually confront them, but families of gaslighters do not confront them because nobody wants to be hit with the backlash, which can either be telling everybody off and again manipulating the feelings in the room, or their distance. Gaslighters are really, really good at distancing themselves and using that as your punishment. So to limit your access to them. For example, like mothers of gaslighters don't want to feel that. They don't want to feel that pain of their child not wanting to speak with them. So they just tiptoe around the issue. It's sad. Number 5, gaslighters will have you confide in them, but if you ever pay attention, they do not reveal as many details about themselves. And what they'll do is they'll use it later to weaponize you. They will use something that you shared with them in confidence against you. For example, in a romantic partnership, during pillow talk, you know, those times where everything's just nice and calm and serene, and you're feeling like, I'm connected to this person, I can share with this person, I can trust this person. You may tell them, you know, it's been really hard to maintain a relationship with my mother because she has hurt me in the past. Later on, you two have a disagreement, and then the gaslighter says, that's why your mother doesn't even want to deal with you. You're like shocked. You're in a standstill because it pierces so much, because you revealed that to someone that you wanted to share with, to dive deeper into who you were. never thinking to be on guard that they may whip it out later to cut you with it. Gaslighters rarely are going to reveal as much to you as you do to them, because they are always on defense that you may weaponize their secrets just like they do yours. Number 6, they have ego-dystonic behaviors, meaning they have competing ideals and references of self that make them think that nothing they do is wrong. Like, they don't think that anything is wrong with their behavior, their attitude, or how anyone is affected by it. They have a distorted sense of self. Number 7, a gaslighter knows that confusion weakens the psyche. That is why they use it so much. They know that if they can distort the way you see yourself, they can gain control on how you see everything around you. Which leads us to number 8. They habitually lie to the point where I think they really start believing themselves, but they can't stop. They just keep lying on top of lie on top of lie till they create this false reality for both you and them to live in. And so pay attention to what they do, not what they say. And definitely pay attention to how they make you feel. Number 9, they tell other people that you're crazy. Again, remember, they cannot take accountability for what they've done and how it affects others. So instead, they have to gain control over you by gaining control over other people's perception of you. So putting the habitual lying and the lying about your state of mind together, this is what they do around you. They spread habitual lies about you to other people so that they can gain control of your friend group, over your circle, and how other people will then react or relate to you. Number 10, they do not keep promises. Remember earlier I said pay attention to what they do, not what they say. They are known for the empty promise. They're known for just giving you hope that they're going to come through, giving you hope that things are going to change, giving you hope that things are going to be better, which leads me to having to put one in here. Number 11 is love bombing. When they know that they've hurt you, when they know that you are on the verge of walking away, they will fill you with the one thing that they know you want from them: their love. They will, I love you, I love you, I love you, you're amazing, I think you're worth it, and this is why I'm doing this, to protect you. Master manipulators. Number 12, loyalty is required. It is not reciprocal. Remember that group I said that gaslighters need? They need a group of people that don't challenge their behaviors. Well, that group has to be loyal to them. And remember, they don't see you as an equal. You're not a peer. So they don't feel like they owe you anything, right? They only feel that loyalty is required for them, not of them. So you will find yourself trying to please them by trying to prove your loyalty, even in the face of pain. Don't do it. Number 13, they avoid admitting problems they've caused. Remember, with that whole manipulated apology, well, sometimes you won't even get that. They will say that they didn't do that. They didn't cause this issue. Most times they're gonna flip around and say that you did. Something that you did or lack thereof caused this issue, not them. They cannot take accountability, and they cannot see themselves as wrong. Now, when it comes to being in a romantic partnership with a gaslighter, it's very important that I tell you, they very rarely leave you. They just keep hurting you and worsening the situation until you inevitably leave them. But the longer you take the pain, the more they'll keep it coming. They won't change for you. They won't become better to you. Don't hold on because they make these empty promises and you go a couple days with things seeming better, or because They're showing you the affection that you've been asking for. But if you notice, the time and the affection that they're giving is actually the bare minimum. They aren't doing more. It just feels like it because they were depriving you of so much before. In order for someone to change, their environment has to change. Gaslighters remain around those who enable them because it feels good. They don't like to be challenged. They don't like to be told that they're wrong. So if you're challenging the gaslighter in your life, know that they're prepared to come at you with more and more garbage because it's a game to them. It's a fight for control, for power, and it's not worth it. I've loved gaslighters before. I've had family members who were gaslighters, and I learned to distance myself, to avoid victimizing myself. Sometimes you cannot completely get rid of the gaslighter in your life, so you have to learn how to navigate a life that has them in it in some level or capacity, but has a very clear boundary. A good tactic is to make them write everything out. If you have to be connected to a gaslighter because they are the parent to your child or children, make them email you. Make them text everything. If they send voice notes, record them. Do not get on the phone with them because their goal is to say something that they can later twist and take back. If it's in writing, it's in plain sight. They'll probably even try to push you read that wrong, but you can most times advocate for yourself, especially if they are giving other people a false reality of who you are. This is what I'm dealing with. Here are the emails. And it works really well in a court of law if you have custody vow. Now, if you have a gaslighting boss, again, document every interaction. This is what HR is for. Even if they're not always emailing you these interactions, it may happen through a verbal one-on-one, document. And if it's really worth it, move on. Go somewhere else. It's not worth your mental health to be in an environment that is manipulating you. It literally drives you insane because it's not intended to maintain your sanity. It's intended to manipulate your reality.